Can we observe a moment of silent prayer and meditation? Thank you. We may all be seated. Good morning, colleagues. Can I take this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Premier, members of the Executive Council, the Chief Whip, leaders of political parties, members of the Provincial Legislature, the people of Gauteng, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the last time I checked, Honorable Alberts, you were still Honorable Alberts, unless you got married recently and you are now called Lamini. Thank you very much. You're all welcome, colleagues. Thank you. We have received the following apologies. Honorable Mnisi, in fact, I learned this morning that Honorable Masemula is now Honorable Mnisi. I've been worried about the Mnisi that I'm getting. We must be informed of the developments. I don't know why she's a Mnisi now, but I'll speak to the Chief Whip, the Whip of EFF. Maybe it's something that we need to celebrate, I'm not sure. But she was discharged yesterday from the hospital. She's not been well. We wish her a speedy recovery. Honorable Modise, who's attending classes, I know that Chief Whip, Honorable Modise passed with distinction in his studies. That's why we must continue supporting our members. Honorable Maile, who's going to join virtually, as he will be attending a webinar of the committee that involves the National Parliament and other stakeholders at 11, but he will be able to join, but also be able to respond to questions. Honorable Premier was going to join virtually, but he has an emergency. We'll check whether he will be able to join, but with the emergency that has been explained to me, I doubt if he'll be able to join the meeting. Those are the only apologies that I've received. Hopefully, whips will agree with these apologies because it's the list that I got from the whip's office. Thank you very much. On the announcements, I wish to indicate that the Office of the Integrity Commissioner has distributed the declaration of interest forms to all our members, and the deadline for submission is the 23rd of March, which is next week. Members are encouraged to seek one-on-one support from Office of the IC in relation to completing the forms. We also want to pass our heartfelt condolences on behalf of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature and the people of Gauteng to the Zulu royal family, as well as the KZN Royal House of Traditional Leaders, for the passing on of His Majesty. And in that regard, I will request that we should all observe a moment of silence in honor of the King. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you. In terms of announcement by members, Honorable Mabala, there was a request that you wanted to announce.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate the EFF Student Command on winning a court case against the arrogant ANC SACP Higher Education Minister Blade Nzimande's instruction to exclude 20,000 UNISA students. It is because of the fears and bravery that the North Gauteng High Court has found Nzimande's instructions unlawful and invalid. The EFF Student Command has proven once again that it stands with the poor students who are being abused and exploited by the Tumamina cabal. Thank you.
Honorable Makakula.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the GPL Multi-Party Women's Caucus and the Commonwealth Parliament for the hosting of a well-organized and informative International Women's Day held on the 8th of March 2021. It was a well-attended event thanks to the input made by our female MECs in Gauteng and the Deputy Minister of Public Service and Gender in Kenya, Honorable Beatrice K. Elache. I thank you.
Those are the only announcements. Thank you. In terms of Rule 79, subsection 1, can you receive MEC, we did not receive MEC statements. We are now going to concentrate on Rule 81, subsection 1. Member statement in terms of Rule 81, subsection 1, starting with Honorable Ntsege.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This morning, I woke up to shocking news. Neo sent me a WhatsApp that he is being kicked out of the homeless shelter in Hillbrow. This was at 9:40 last night. Neo is a whistleblower who alerted me to the fact that staff at this facility was stealing food from intended residents and taking it home. He sent me pictures as evidence in this regard. MEC, it was just last week in our portfolio meeting where I was begging that the department stop this victimizing whistleblowers, and here we are. Now had to go and sleep at the Hillbrow police station. Instead of protecting a whistleblower now like Neo, he is kicked out instead. This is such an uncaring act. So MEC, once again, I beg for your intervention, but this time with the homeless shelter at Hillbrow. Please help Neo get back to the place he now calls home and protect him. Then hold the thieves to account for stealing donated food intended for the residents, like the person driving the silver Corolla.
No. Honorable
Please
Ntsege.
do not protect
Honorable
the thieves.
Ntsege, Honorable Ntsege, can I stop you? That is not what you requested to present this morning. Please don't be opportunistic. Don't do that to us. You submitted a different member statement. I'm not going to allow that. Can I allow the next person, Honorable Adams?
Thank you, Chairperson. Speaker. Madam Speaker, the abhorrent treatment of ENCA journalists, especially female journalists, by the EFF during the student protest yesterday has a dark shadow on their plight. At a time in our country where gender-based violence is a precipice, that manhandling of journalists has exposed the misogynistic attitude deeply ingrained in the psyche of society. Malcolm X, a fierce propagator of psychological warfare imposed by the American media in the 1960s, once said, and I'm going to paraphrase, "You are not to be so blind with alliance and allegiance that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or who says it. The mistreatment of journalists while out in the streets providing media coverage must be addressed, and a call to order must be heard. One cannot fight for the right to be heard while denying others the very same right. It is unconscionable. For the EFF to condone the maltreatment of female journalists on national television without reprimand is setting a dangerous precedent for gender-based violence in our society. For all political leaders and public representatives to stand idly by, these young women are violated and pushed around. These young women are violated and pushed around in a statement of tolerance or allowance for such crude behavior. We as the ACDB pleaded that female journalists be treated with dignity and respect. I thank you, Speaker.
Colleagues, what is said, I think as a gender activist, I will also comment. When there's an attack on a female, I see female scolding at Honorable Adams, which is said. Let's not do that. Irrespective of who has done it. I'm just saying I'm seeing females. I didn't say which member. I'm sure you don't hear properly, Honorable Mabala, but when a woman has been attacked, we should all join hands and support that particular woman, irrespective. Honorable Shitangano. Honorable Shitangano. Honorable Shitangano. Honorable Shitangano.
Madam Speaker, we must take the time to congratulate the EFF through its student command for winning its court case against pseudo-communist Blade Nzimande's instruction to exclude 20,000 UNISA students. The EFF brought the urgent motion to the North Gauteng High Court at the end of February 2021, in which we asked the court to find the minister's instruction unlawful and invalid. The court granted a court order in addition to finding in the EFF's favor, which we welcome as a vindication of the strength of our case. As the EFF, we continue to further invite and call on all 20,000 students to take up their places at UNISA, as those who stood in the way of their future have been defeated mercilessly. We must also acknowledge and thank the South African Human Rights Commission and Black Lawyers Associations who joined the case as a friend of the court in helping the court to reach a just and equitable decision. In light of this, as the EFF will welcome this decision, which comes in a week in which Muthokozisi Ntumba was murdered by ANC police during protests over students' non-registration at Wits University. Muthokozisi was killed due to unnecessary and unconstitutional violence by the ANC police after they disrupted peaceful protests that were led by Economic Freedom Fighter Student Command and Wits EFFSC. Students from Wits University and Central Johannesburg College have been protesting against historical debt, high registration fees, lack of accommodation, and the bogus resumption of the academic year. We must also acknowledge the EFF leadership, EF Student Command, and social justice allies for their prompt response and action relating to Muthokozisi's murder, which resulted in IPED swiftly investigating the violent killing of Mr. Ntumba and 4 police officers from the Public Order Policing Unit being arrested and facing charges of murder, 3 charges of attempted murder, as well as defeating the ends of justice. Madam Speaker, we are constantly shown by this ANC-led government that as black people in this country, we do not need to commit any crime to be killed, prosecuted and harassed, but merely being black in itself is our crime. The murderers of Collins, Koza, Nathaniel Julius, and Muthokozisi Ntumba at the hands of ANC police in this province is a clear announcement that when you are black, your life doesn't matter and can be taken away without consequences.
Thank you. Time up. Thank you.
Sure.
Honorable Tilange. Honorable Tilange.
I'm here, thank you, Chair. Speaker. Driving through towns and cities in Gauteng, we see visible proof of the ANC's inability to govern municipalities and metros. We see communities and residents forced to take action of governance and service delivery in their own hands, whilst privileged cadres have seemingly forgotten what reality on the streets looks like. We see people cleaning and fixing their own towns, where officials and politicians are handsomely paid to do and oversee so. Corruption, transgression, mismanagement, and the lack of consequence for the non-compliance of political leaders and city managers' statutory obligations as per Section 106 has become the good story to tell of the ANC. Any proper leader would not allow governance of municipalities and metros to deteriorate to the extent where streets are filled with refuse, sewer pouring out of manholes, valuable ecosystems covered in stench and raw sewer, roads in suburbs so falling apart to the extent where residents are forced to drive on pavements to reach their homes. Filth has taken over our cities, yet taxpayers are expected to pay municipal bills that increase unrealistically as municipalities fail to meet their targets for recovery of municipal accounts. Revenue and service delivery are two of the most important cornerstones of a successful government. If this was done successfully, Speaker, COVID-19 challenges would not be the only cause to blame. If municipalities were in a better financial state, as it should have been, they would have been better prepared for the onslaught of the unforeseen and challenging times. The ANC is on a plunder siege, and smaller municipalities are the weakest targets. None of the Premier or the MEC of the DOMCOP speeches referred to a substantial reversal program to bring about any of the bankrupt municipalities in Gauteng. The Back to Basic programs are not set up to save financial paralyzed municipalities. With the ANC's inability to do proper governance, the only possible hope to bring local governments back to life again and to do right by taxpayers and residents is with multi-party governance. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and that is the fact.
Okay, DOMCOP.
Thank you, Honourable Members. That concludes member statement. But I wish to indicate, colleagues, that our Chief Whip has completed his Bachelor's of Laws.
Madam Speaker, you are wrong. Speaker, you are wrong. Speaker.
And I hope, Chief Whip, I hope now you'll be available when I need you. Because of these studies, at times it would have been difficult for me to get hold of you. But congratulations. I know it was very tough, but thank you.
Speaker, Speaker, how can you allow Lebogang to call a
Can I
member?
check if is there a member who wants to present a motion without notice in terms of Rule 121, read with 122? There is none. Thank you. Can I request the Secretary to read the first order? No, it's questions for oral reply today. Yeah. In terms of Rule 134, starting with Honourable Ntsege to the MEC for Health.
Thank you, Deputy Honourable Speaker. With regards to Kempton Park Hospital and Tembisa Hospital, could the MEC please indicate what is the capacity for Tembisa Hospital, maximum number of patients that the hospital can accommodate in beds and in all wards? What was the capacity of Kempton Park Hospital? From March 2020 to January 2021, how many patients were accommodated in Tembisa Hospital? Of these, how many slept on the floor? And how much extra capacity has been created at Tembisa Hospital since March 2020? Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, and thank you, Honourable Ntsege, for the question. Response to question 1, approved beds in Kempton Park are 840. Response to question 2, approximately 270 beds. Response to question 3, as per the District Health Information System report, in the specified period, the hospital had 47,024 admissions. This is provided below as a breakdown. On 20 March, it was 4,757. 20 April, 3,985. 20 May, 4,519. 20 June, 3,707. 20 July, 3,777. 20 August, 4,364. 20 September, 4,688. 20 October, 4,484. 20 November, 2,994. 20 December, 4,847. 21 January, 3,005, which totals to 47,024. Response to question 4, the hospital does not have floor beds. However, when it is overcrowded, the patients can wait on chairs and or stretchers while waiting for a bed or awaiting transfer to another facility with a bed as per arrangement between the superintendents of the referring hospital. A response to question 5, within the fixed structure of the hospital, family medicine clinic was converted to a ward, giving additional 16 beds. Within the temporary structures, approximately 40 beds are available, and then totaling it to 56 new beds. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Nsekhe, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. First of all, if I can please ask that the responses as read out by the MEC are sent to me, and I get them this time. And then I want to thank the MEC. However, I still want to highlight the issue that if Kempton Park Hospital had a capacity of 270 and was utilized during this COVID period, it would have definitely eased the pressure on Tembisa Hospital. MEC says that nobody slept on the floors of that hospital and that people sleep on stretchers. Again, I'm saying, why did the ANC close Kempton Park Hospital? Because this hospital is clearly very much needed, and the ANC did not do its job to check population migration and the needs for hospitals in the future. Because you can see today, people are sleeping on the floors, even if it's on stretchers in Tembisa Hospital. Please reopen Kempton Park Hospital. Thank you very much.
Honorable MEC.
Madam Speaker, I rise on 77.5. Supplementary, it's a comment actually.
Unfortunately for this set of questions, it's not allowed. 77.5 is not allowed. Honorable MEC. Thank you. The next question, Honorable Mukwebo to MEC for COGTA and Human Settlement.
Yeah, thanks, Speaker. I think he's online because I know he can run away. So we must check.
Come prepared.
Can you ask your question?
Why online?
Honorable Mukwebo, can you ask your question?
MEC, please respond to the following questions because your department is responsible for the programs which your MEC spoke about, your Premier spoke about from the previous year till today. Kindly inform this House and the members and the people of Gauteng what is the progress in regards to 10,000 service stands which was supposed to be spread across the corridors of this province. And how will the rapid land release program be implemented in this province? The third one, what economic value has been unlocked through the release of land to qualifying individuals? Fourth one is, what are the developments with regards to the proposed construction of affordable houses in Bryanston Extension 3? The last one is the various NPO around River Valley in Johannesburg have complained about the soil that is contaminated due to the mine dump in the area, of which this land can be utilized for agricultural purposes. But kindly inform the House and the people of Gauteng, how are you going to implement your programs which you spoke about yourself, MEC? Thanks, Speaker.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And for the record, Honorable Mukwebo, you don't have capacity to scare me. You are very weak, but let me answer your question. The first the answer is that there are no service stands that have been released as yet. However, about 8,991 service stands are in the release pipeline, meaning they've been procured, but they are administrative matters like service certificates and the identification and allocation of beneficiaries. So subsidy administration and allocation is underway, and the stands are situated in the areas, the following areas. There's stands in a place called Alliance, extension 6 to 8 and 12 to 17. In Ekurhuleni, there's 2,920. In Palm Ridge, extension 1, City Ekurhuleni, about 1,900. Beverly Hills, Everton West, there's about 660. Elijah Bahai in Merafong, 495. Western area Burwa, Rand West, 342. Then there's Montrose City in Rand West, 759. And there's a place called Eldervales, extension 4, part 1 in Ekurhuleni, and then there's Cambridge again in Ekurhuleni, about 1,392. On the second question, it will be exempted from the inefficiency through applying the best practice project management methods in the planning and development of state-owned land, and that is why we make sure that before we take the ownership from the private owners, we already allocate people using the HS system, and that's why earlier on I said the pipeline, and I did not talk about having handed over. The qualifying on the third question, qualifying individuals must be South African residents. They must be first-time beneficiaries. They must be 18 years or older, and there's other criteria based on the housing code, including the fact that beneficiaries must earn a joint income of more than 3,500 and below 22,000. The beneficiaries receive stands with economic value, which ranges between 89,000 to 190,000, and they don't have to pay for it. Question 4, the project is still in detailed planning and at 73% with completion date of August 2021, and 28 of the 43 deliverables to complete the planning have been completed, including the submission of a consolidated town planning activity for 201 units. The last question, the Rapid Land Release Program will develop projects that have agricultural land, like Hegboort, where possible, we're not saying everywhere. And once it has been developed, it will be handed over to the department that is responsible for agriculture, which is GDAT, for identification of beneficiaries and allocation. And the Rapid Land Release Program has not engaged with this NPO, which is 173385. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honorable Mukwebo, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Yes, Speaker. I do have Dom Kopo has spoken, and I want him to take the House in confidence No, he'll appoint to the MEC Tasneem when he takes over.
Honorable
Relax.
Mukwebo, can you respond to the questions?
Relax, you will get the MEC position. Relax. MEC, can you respond to this one? It's a question, Speaker, because he spoke about Beverly Hills in Everton. And then he went to launch this project last year. And then he found the development of houses there in Sidibeng region. So you can't come here and mislead the house like the land is available. Whereas there are houses which are built by the developers in that area, in Beverly Hills. So can you respond to that? Because you can't mislead the people of Gauteng by lying.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The definition of Domkop, it means lack of comprehension, which is what Member Mukwebo is demonstrating. He asked a question about the availability of land, and we have answered to say that we've got stands. Yes, there are stands that are illegally occupied through EFF-sponsored land grab program.
If we don't have an answer, just say we don't have an answer.
So there are certain stands,
if we don't have an answer
but we do have stands, Honorable Speaker, as I have submitted to the House, and I am not misleading the House. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. The next question, Honorable Mufama to MEC for Education. Honorable Mufama.
Mailono fetulisha papa fela, nothing important here.
Boy.
Honorable Mufama.
Yeah, thank you very much, Speaker. If sometimes you're having a network issue.
Honorable Mukwebo. No.
There's load shedding There's load shedding.
Honorable Mufama, I can see Honorable Mufama is here. All what? Honorable Mukwebo. Honorable Mukwebo, this is not a ship-in, please. Honorable Mufama is connected. All what she needs to do is to unmute herself. I can see here. Honorable Mufama, can you unmute yourself and speak? What you need to help me, Honorable Mukwebo, as a whip, is to check with her what is happening. But I can see she's here on the line. Honorable Mukwebo, can I go to Honorable Badenhorst to MEC for Social Development?
Can I continue, Speaker?
Continue, Honorable Badenhorst.
Thank you. Good morning, Speaker. MEC, it is common knowledge that the colored communities that predominantly speak Afrikaans have been neglected for more than 2 decades, especially when it comes to developmental programs that are geared at empowering the previously and historically disadvantaged. The department is expected to play a leading role in this regard. But we observed as the EFF that in the previous financial year that there was a reduction in the number of ECD beneficiaries in different municipalities around the province, which subsequently resulted in underspending of the conditional grant. With this in mind, could the MEC of Social Development, you want to know most, respond to the following questions? Did the schools in the areas of Eldorado Park, Riverlea, New Clare, Westbury, and Noordgesig receive any school uniforms? In your response, please provide a list of schools in the Afrikaans-speaking communities that has received uniforms in this province. Number two, why are there no recreational facilities, e-citizens, and substance abuse centers in the colored communities such as Reveille and Noordgesig? Number three, are there social workers assigned to the above colored communities in the province? In your response, please provide a list with the names of areas in the province and the number of social workers assigned to those specific communities. Are there any feeding schemes allocated to areas such as Eldorado Park, Reveille, New Clare, Westbury, Noordgesig, and etc.? Do we have shelters for abused women and children around Reveille and Noordgesig? Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Lemisi.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thanks, Honorable Badenhorst. Just a small request. You know, when your problem statement is not properly aligned to your questions, the flow is a bit confusing. But we tried to respond. So let me respond. In response to your first question, Honorable Badenhorst, Reveille, Newcastle, Eldorado Park, and Noordgesig schools are on the list of schools that will benefit from the school uniform project. The production of uniform for these schools is currently underway, and the uniform packs will be distributed between March and June 2021. I think what is important to note here is that the school distribution program is not limited to the first months on when the schools open. It's an ongoing program. So maybe if you understood that properly, there won't be any confusion in that sense. The department continues to distribute and dispense its resources and services in an equitable manner. The program in question targets schools-going children that are from the households of poor and unemployed parents. It is important to note that the department was unable to deliver it on its mandate in relation to school uniform due to the shifting procurement regime, and you are aware of that, you're a member of the portfolio committee. But maybe just to give you credit, you were very invested in making sure that that is addressed. For that, I give you credit, ma'am. The communities in question have previously benefited from the school uniforms, and they remain in the plans for distribution for this financial year, subject to the procurement challenges being addressed. So the list of schools, as you have requested, is attached as Annexure A. Response to your question 2, there are 2 funded outpatient services in Westbury and Eldorado Park, respectively, which provide treatment interventions to persons with substance use disorders, and these services are managed by SANCA. Those who need inpatient treatment services are referred to nearby inpatient treatment centers. There are 21 ECDs in the mentioned areas, and again, the list is attached as you have requested, Honorable Badenhorst. Responding to your third question, the answer is yes. There are social workers assigned to the above African communities. The list of social workers is attached as Annexure C. Responding to your question number 4, there are 5 funded drop-in centers under HIV/AIDS programs that provide 3 cooked meals per day to vulnerable children, and they are Klipspruit West Family Center. You will find them at 27 Azalea Road in Klipspruit West. The second one is PUSH. They are at number 1 Boundary Road in Klaptown. The third one is Johannesburg Child Welfare, or Masibambi Sane. They are at 52 Amentis Street proper in Eldorado Park. The other one is Abraham Krill Westbury, and it's at Westbury, Corner Hay and Fuel Street next to the BP garage. And the last one is Kaele 2 Family Crisis Center. It's at number 815 Corner Bucking Lane and Main Road Extension 5 next to Eldorado Police Station. Responding to your last question, Honorable Badenhorst, there's no shelter for abused women and children around Reveille and Noordgesig. However, when there's a need for accommodation, the victims are referred to the nearest shelter in Johannesburg South, located in Lenasia and Lenasia South. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Badenhorst, do we have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. You know what, MEC? That's one thing that I like, if people tell me the truth. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, this question has been coming up since 2019, since I've entered this place, the legislator. And there was no school uniforms distributed. And that is a fact, and that you know. There was never, it's not the first time that this question is coming up. And you keep on telling me that, no, there's adequate provision made and whatever. There's nothing, there's no provision made for school uniforms, and you know it. Up till now, no schools, all over, most of the schools haven't received any school uniforms. And that's a fact. And you're busy taking us for a ride here. Please don't do that. And the second thing is in Eldos or in Westbury, there's no feeding schemes. There's nothing of that sort. Please, MEC, do me a favor, do your work, and then we can talk. Thank you, Speaker.
MEC?
Thank you very much, Speaker. Madam Honorable Badenhorst, I take back the credit I gave you. I withdraw it. I withdraw it unconditionally. You are a member of the committee. You know about Circular 21 problems, and you know when it was implemented, and you know exactly where we are, and you know whom it affected. So you are the one who is misleading the House, and you should be honorable. You should be honorable. Please listen. Please listen so that you don't ask the same question again. Be honorable, and do not mislead the House. So that credit is withdrawn. It's withdrawn, It's withdrawn, and I'm going to withdraw it in the committee as well. God forbid. You never, in talk about on the second one.
Honorable members.
Honorable Badenhorst, please listen, because you are going to ask the question again. Yeah. Mates. Honorable Badenhorst, again, Honorable Badenhorst, please desist. In the last sitting of the Multi-Party Portfolio Committee, I asked you with humility and respect that if you have facts to the allegations that you make, please make them available to me, because yes, it's my responsibility for oversight. But if you keep them with you and you want to come to the House and make a song and dance about it, let me assure you, you are not helping people that you claim to represent. Thank you, Speaker.
Can we have Honorable Mufama? Honorable Mufama to MEC for Education.
Speaker.
Honorable Mufama to MEC for Education.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. During our oversight of various schools across the Orange Farm district, as the EFF, we noted the excessive numbers of unrecognized individuals at various schools, loitering around the staff rooms and corridors. Upon the further investigation, we were informed that said individuals were teachers, assistants, and general workers being paid 3.5 per month as a stipend, without clearly defined duties and roles. This was not only a problematic as it increased the number of people allowed in each school as per COVID-19 regulation set up for the reopening of school, but it also was contrary to the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative as it was detailed to us. Within this in mind, will the MC respond to the following questions? What measures has the department put in place to ensure that the recipient will effectively induct into codes of conduct of the school and departments? Number two, what the selection criteria were utilized to determine who and how these alleged teachers, assistants, and general workers will be chosen? What form of skills transfer can be received as from participating in the program? Number four, is there a budget allocation for payment of these stipends of 3.5 per month? In response, provide exact amount and rent and cent. Number five, how many receipts are part of the program across the province? In response, indicate the exact number per district. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable, let me see.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Member Mufama. Just to put in context, Member Mufama, as the Gauteng provincial government, we recruited almost 50,000 young people to assist us to fight COVID in our schools. These young people sacrificed their time to ensure that education is defended during a very difficult period in 2020. We want to take this opportunity to thank all these young people who made it possible for us to be #2 national in terms of academic performance, but most importantly, 6 of our districts to be amongst the top 10 in the country, purely because of their sacrifice and their time. As part of rewarding these young people, we felt it would be important to absorb them as part of the presidential program for young people so that we don't send them back to the streets to be unemployed. It is within this context that these young people were employed to do the following: provide support to young people at the school in terms of ensuring that each and every classroom is prepared, and they can also provide support to educators in preparing the classroom, ensuring that teaching materials are available and ready for use, hand out workbooks, textbooks to learners, prepare mark sheets, keeping of records, capturing of marks, distribution of question papers, worksheet, last workbook, mark scripts to all learners, assist the teacher with the photocopying of question papers, worksheet, support the teacher to manage the behavior in the classroom, help learners with the educational and social development, maintain a safe, secure, and clean school environment, oversee learners out of the classroom and during lunch breaks, and supervise group activities of learners, as well as carrying out administrative tasks at the required school. This is done to support our educators so that our educators can spend more time teaching rather than doing administrative work. So all education assistants and general school assistants, collectively known as assistants, had to attend to the orientation training after appointment. The training included, amongst other things, orientation to the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative Program, orientation to the Gauteng provincial government, how provincial government works, orientation on how to ensure that there's but two principles in everything they do, orientation on their roles and responsibilities as assistants, code of conduct and behavior, and the need to protect our children. In terms of question 2, the qualifications or criteria that was used to appoint these particular learners or these particular young people is as follows. Candidates must possess NQF level 4 qualification. However, an NQF level 7, that is a degree, will be an added advantage or be an unemployed qualified educator. You must also possess good organizational skills, flexibility and creativity, basic IT skills, enjoy working with children and young adults, be patient, have confidence and compassionate towards others, good literacy and numeracy skills, ability to manage groups of learners, deal with challenging behavior and ability to communicate in English or one of the official languages, including any African language. For these learners, for general assistants, we're requiring them to have a grade 11, with a grade 12 being an added advantage. In terms of question 3, the appointed youth are exposed to the following forms of in-training or on-the-job mentorship. 1, on-the-job training for teacher assistants in relation to curriculum matters. 2, for those interested in helping with promoting reading at schools, library services are trained as reading champions. 3, general assistants are partnered with current general assistants and they are mentored how to deal with the day-to-day work. In terms of question 4, the national government allocated to us in Gauteng 581 million rands for these young people, and this was a once-off transfer to our province. In terms of question 5, in total, the department has employed 44,599 recipients across all districts. Madam Speaker, I'm going to take your time. The honourable member asked me to name each and every district and name each and every school and name each and every person that has been appointed. And I can tell you, if I have to do that, it's going to take all your time. So I'll make the answers available to the members. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Mufama, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
I have a question, Speaker. Speaker.
Maybe before that, Honorable Mabala, what you are doing is not allowed. Honorable Mufama.
Yes, Speaker, and that's a city oversight visit now since Banaba can be better because every day Orange Farm, I have pictures and the lima bizo adicolo. I'll send you pictures to show you one net and I could have about Orange Farm because how about you about MC can live and I'm trying to sound so kill him to the Orange Farm because every day it's all as colong. Yes, the oversight visit.
Honorable MEC, I'm not sure whether you heard the comment.
No, before the MEC Speaker, it's Honorable PC.
I'm struggling to hear, Madam
Honorable PC Speaker, before the MEC.
Oh, Wankarabet, that's good.
Honorable PC, you must raise your hand first. You don't shout, please. Can you continue?
I did, Honorable Speaker. I did.
Which rule?
Tula, our presiding officer. Speaker, no, just to give the, maybe the MEC will answer this. My Orange Farm is my constituency, and what Honorable Mufama is raising is not true. Yes, there were challenges in 1 or 2 private schools that had a problem there. Now, I want the MEC to give a detailed response, perhaps in writing, to the member, because Orange Farm schools, there's order, all kids are at school, only 2 private schools were in trouble, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable MEC, if you did not hear the comment, Honorable Mufama was saying some of those young people that have been employed, every time they are loitering in the schools, they don't do any work.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Member Mufama. Madam Speaker, it's going to be practically impossible that 44,599 people, if they go on lunch, they must notify Member Mufama. It's going to be practically impossible because they work according to different shifts. Each and every school have 12 people, and they can't go to lunch at the same time. So they spread responsibilities, and if they've executed a responsibility to screen learners in the morning, they can't screen air when learners are already in the classroom. They have to sit down and take a thing. So it can't be. If there are limitations, I will forever appreciate.
Can we listen? Honorable members, can we listen?
So, if indeed that those that are loitering, I'm requesting Member Mufama to notify me, will attend to that problem. Thank you so much, Madam.
Thank you. Next question, Honorable Mukwebo to MEC for Education.
Yeah, because I'm irritated by someone who can't even build schools in Gauteng, yeah, and people are stealing the frames in my buya there, and then she's busy laughing, yeah. People are stealing windows there in my buya primary school. Speaker, schools across the province are in dire need of holistic provincial draft guideline for resourcing an inclusive education system. Please, MEC, respond to the following 3 questions, which the first one is as follows. What measures has the department put in place to attend the dire need of professional staff such as nurses, psychologists, and therapists in ordinary schools? Second one is, does the department intend to make use of students performing their community service to assist specified schools? If so, what are the further relevant details? Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Member Mukwebo, for your questions. Truly appreciate that. Member Mukwebo, the National Policy for Screening, Identification, Assessment and Support of 2014, as well as our own Gauteng Policy for Screening, Identification and Assessment, acknowledges that learners from all educational settings have to get support for their needs and at all times be given the relevant development mechanism at all the stages that they'll go through. With regard to ordinary schools, most learners have now been provided with support that are frequently done by our social workers, therapists, and educators that are employed to attend to that kind of a responsibility. With regard to ordinary schools, most learners have low-level support needs that are not frequent by nature, and such support is assessed through the school-based support team, and where necessary, these learners access the support from psychologists at district level. Therapists from special schools are also support learners as part of the special schools outreach initiatives. The promotion and implementation of healthy practices and school health screening will continue in all public ordinary schools and special schools. One of the priority activities is the implementation, support, monitoring of the joint program that we've done with the Department of Health and Department of Social Development that is called Integrated School Health Program, which is a collaborative program that is guided by all social cluster departments in our province. The following school-based health programs will be implemented, supported and monitored by the Integrated School Health Program, by school health teams led by registered school health nurses, GDE school health officials, health promoters, which may also include social workers, therapists, oral hygienists, and audiologists. The annual school visits that are taking place every year for grade 4, 8, and 10, the HPV vaccinations campaign against cervical cancer for all our grade 5 girl learners aged 9 years and above, concurrent HPV vaccination in March, April for grade 5 girl and boy learners, the National School Hygiene Hand Washing Program, that is, we are doing in collaboration with all the aspects that support COVID programs, the National School Deworming Program, which also enhanced the effectiveness of the school nutrition program, and this is also done during the month of September to October. So the integrated school health programs aims further to provide preventive school health initiatives, for example, deworming of learners, and this is done to ensure that at all levels and stages, our learners are pure and they don't have illnesses that may derail their academic programs. With regards to special schools, given that learners in special schools have confirmed high support needs, the schools have been allocated with nurses and therapists. Where specialist medical care is required, parents are referred to the relevant institution from the Department of Health who are on standby to support us on such programs. With regards to question 2, yes, the department embraces the services of educational psychology students, counselors who are on the verge of qualifying and completing their academic studies. The department also works with universities offering courses for therapists, along occupational therapists, speech therapists, audiology students to gain workplace experience while also rendering services at our schools. In terms of question 3, please see answer 2 above. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mukwebo, any supplementary?
No, thanks, Speaker. I think it was a detailed response, and we really appreciate. But I think it's important to say to MEC to say they will respond. I'll appreciate if you can forward them to me, so that we can continue servicing these people. And that one can build our stadiums there, HM Beach. People are marching there in Mamelodi. It's embarrassing when a generation is leading that sports department. And then people, white elephant there in Mamelodi. When you can't build schools, schools, but about my first term, more my when.
Honorable, let me see. Can we get the mic on?
When I switch it on, someone switched it. Thanks. Member Mkwebo, actually, if there are people that deserve to get quality education, it's learners with disabilities, because they don't have options. So our school environment must be an environment that supports them to succeed. And in this province, our commitment is clear. These learners must not be converted to be telephone answering learners or people to be employed to answer telephone calls. They must be employed in the mainstream economy because they also deserve to contribute to our economy. And that's the investment that we are putting in our province. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nisi is not in the house. There was an apology. I did not get an indication as to who's going to answer the question. I'll go to Honorable Shackleton.
Speaker, can I assist, Speaker? It's Honorable Khadebe, Speaker.
Yeah,
please,
but you must,
Madam Speaker.
But you must indicate. Honorable Khadebe. Aye, Suga.
Thank you, Speaker. In the context of COVID-19, there has to be special arrangement for schooling where learners benefit from coming to school in an environment that provides space for both social and physical distancing. During my oversight at Itumeleng Secondary School in Rand West, there is currently a serious challenge. Sorry, Speaker, my phone is busy disturbing me here. During the oversight at Itumeleng School in Rand West, there is currently a serious challenge. Sorry, Speaker.
Nigele. Go back.
What's up? In Rand West, there is currently a serious challenge of overcrowded classrooms, which make it difficult to observe physical distancing in classrooms. With this in mind, will the MEC please respond to the following questions? Number one, how many public schools in the province that are using Platonian alternative days per week and rotational attendance as schooling models as proposed by the National Department? In your response, please provide a list of schools using each model and one that are using a combination of these models. Number two, are there public schools in the province that are not using any of above proposed schooling models as a special arrangement during this period of COVID-19? Number three, if yes to above, please provide a list of such schools and reason why and what plans are there provides temporary classroom to schools that are experiencing overcrowding, such as Itumeleng Secondary School. In your response, please indicate by the such extra schools will be provided in order to provide sufficient social and physical distancing. Thank you.
Honorable MEC. On behalf of Honorable Mnisi.
Madam Speaker, this is one question that to answer, and I'm going to answer it, Chair. But I feel that I must make the answers available to you. It consists of 47 pages. And if I have to go through all these 47 pages, I don't think it will be fair to other members of the House. So I'll only summarize critical areas and make the answers available to the member. In terms of question 1, please see an annexure for the public schools that are using different methods of attendance as proposed by the National Department of Basic Education. It must be noted that the information provided is as received from the schools themselves, and the department is still verifying this information from our schools. The question, Madam Speaker, was that we must list all the schools that are rotating their attendance and also list all the schools that are using the platooning system, as well as the names of schools that are attending schools daily without rotation. I've got all the names of the schools, so it's going to be practically impossible to read all those names of the schools. I'll make it available to the member. Question 2, are there public schools in the province that are not using any form of rotation? The answer is also in the questions that I've just narrated to, that all the names of the form of school that the schools have adopted is made available in this list in terms of other schools. In terms of question 3, it's also responded to by the name of the schools that I will circulate to member. In terms of question 4, Member Munisi, the Gauteng Education Department tries to provide access to all learners of schools going age in our continually changing environment to meet the educational needs of our learners. The department is faced with several problems, including overcrowding due to an annual increase in learner enrollment, overutilization, and insufficient maintenance of our infrastructure, and in some instances, natural disasters. Despite the mitigation measures instituted, which included transportation of learners to low-subscribed schools and providing additional capacity, the influx of learners into Gauteng has created a huge demand that exceeds available resources. This year alone, utilizing our 10-day statistics, we have received 30,000 new learners that are coming from all other provinces outside Gauteng. Given this rapid increase of the Gauteng learner population, the department has had to explore alternative means of providing additional space. If we've received 30,000 additional learners and a school can be occupied by 1,000 learners, it means we needed 30 new schools alone this year, which is practically impossible to build, and therefore we have to use alternative mechanisms to accommodate these learners. Appointment of other implementing agency in spreading the work to be undertaken, delivering the Gauteng Schools program in a faster pace thanks to the Department of DID. With regards to Ituteng Secondary School located at Potion 16, Brandvlei, Randfontein, the department has transferred funding to the school for the construction of additional classrooms. To this end, the school has already met with the professional team in order to start the process of building an additional classroom, and we are convinced that this commitment is going to be carried out by the end of May 2021. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Khatebe, do you have a short remark?
Thank you, Speaker. MEC, can you please provide them with the mobile classrooms? Because each and every classroom there are over 30 learners in the classroom. So if you can please provide the containers so that the student can be... I don't know why
Honorable Khatebe,
speaking to MEC Panyaza.
Honorable Khatebe, you speak to the House, not to specific people. Are you done?
No, Speaker, I can't be standing here and being attacked.
Honorable,
I'm still on the podium. They
Honorable
must give me a
Khatebe.
chance to speak.
Honorable Khatebe, you know what is good for the goose is good for the gander. When other members are making speeches, there will be members that are making the same thing. And if it's done in return to you, then you become sensitive. Are you done with your question or short remark?
Speaker, whenever we are speaking,
Let's not
we've been
enter into a
attacked this
debate.
side, and then you keep quiet. But when we speak, they howling at us, and then you must protect them. No, it's not fair, Speaker.
Honorable
It is
Khatebe.
not fair at all.
Honorable
We give them
Khatebe.
chance to speak. It's my time. They were supposed to give me chance to speak.
Honorable Khatebe, are you done with the short remark? Because when I say short remark, you must address to that and not other things. Honorable Ramolifo, I noted you.
You are biased.
Yes. Yes.
Let me see, based on the available school days per annum, will learners and teachers cover enough curriculum, especially when you look at the schools which are oversubscribed, as another case which I referred to you yesterday, where learners are only attending 5 days per month. I'm not sure, based on the information which you said you have there, does that information covered in terms of the assessment so that we can look at the impact and what are the intervention put in place so that at least we can cover curriculum in large rather than just portion of it where kids just go to schools then?
Honorable Mabala. No, wait, they will offer. Be patient.
Okay, thank you. Mine, it's on the, Honorable Speaker, it's on the markers for social distancing on the floors and on the chairs. That is my concern because over the weekend we were conducting an oversight visit with the Health Portfolio Committee, and there were no markers on the floors and the chairs. So I'm concerned that it could be the same with the schools. So that is my concern, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable, let me see.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much, members, for your question. Member Khatebe, I share your frustration and sentiments, but we have taken a conscious decision. Instead of having mobile classrooms, we've given the school money to build classrooms, permanent classrooms. Because mobile classrooms, by own definition, they are temporary, and the problem is permanent. So the report we've received from the school is that come the month of May, those classrooms will be ready for occupation. So at least learners can be together and rotate for the month of April, and the month of May, they will have a properly built classrooms, rather than have temporary classrooms that will be destroyed, and next year we must have another temporary classroom. So I'm saying let's give the school support so that they can build those additional classrooms, and they've indicated that during the month of May, those classrooms will be available for our learners. So I really believe that's a progressive way of dealing with a permanent problem, so that we don't have a temporary solution to a permanent problem. And I think this intervention will assist. Member Ramlif, you know, I always tell people, safety first. We might have our own ambition that learners must come to school every day, but the reality is that there are laws in this country that promote social distancing. And if you have to adhere to social distancing, it means other learners may come to school once a week, others may come 5 days a month, others may come 3 days in a week. So it's purely because we have to adhere to social distancing, nothing else. If we're not adhering to social distancing, those learners will be there every day. And I know the case that you've referred us. And I'm pleased to announce that at least we are seeing the end to that problem. Because learners of Maibuye, they're utilizing a temporary school because we've built them a beautiful school, but they can't go to that beautiful school because of limitation of bylaws and the challenges that we had with that school in Maibuye. Myself and MEC Mutara, we've met with MEC Finance, and Finance has agreed to resolve that problem permanently. There is a deviation that they've approved. We really believe that that school now will be concluded and learners will move out of that bad school to a proper, beautiful school that will ensure that their problems are eliminated permanently. So it's a temporary problem, Member Ramulif. It's not a permanent problem. They might be going to school 5 days in a month now, but after June, I can assure you, they will go to school every day, purely because they will be in a beautiful school. Member Mabala, markings are markings for you to have an understanding at the beginning. When you see the marking and you see them there, and unfortunately they are not there the following day, it does not mean that we must never practice social distancing. It's now imprinted in our mind, social distancing. People know it. So it does not mean there must be a mark for you to practice social distancing. You are there, I'm here, is there a mark here? Sure, no mark. And then we understand social distancing. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Next question. The next question is Honorable Shackleton to MEC for Community Safety.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you to the Honourable Member of Community, or to the Honourable MEC for Community Safety. Regarding the gang known as Boko Haram, could the MEC please indicate, 1, are SAPS aware of the leaders of the criminal gang Boko Haram in Mamelodi? 2, have any of the leaders of the gang been arrested? And if not, why not? 3, are SAPS aware of the operations of Boko Haram and the types of crimes they are involved in? 4, are there concrete plans in place to bring an end to the operations of Boko Haram? And 5, by when will the operations of this gang be stopped? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable, let me see.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think Member Shackleton must be given a middle name called Boko Haram. In response to question number 1, if the SAPS are aware of the leaders, the answer is yes. Number 2, have any of the leaders been arrested? The answer is yebo. SAPS is it aware and that of the types of crimes they are involved in? Pendulo says yebo. Are there any concrete plans in place to bring end to these operations? Pendulo says yebo. And by when will these operations of this gang be stopped? Operations in this regard are at an advanced stage, Honourable Member Shackleton. However, further details cannot be divulged due to the sensitive and conditional confidential nature of the information. Thank you, Nyabo.
Honorable Shackleton, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and through you, thank you to the MEC for her answers. I must admit, when I did submit these questions originally, less action had been taken than has been taken now, and there have honestly been some arrests in Mamelodi, and I think that this is an example where MPLs in this House, across party lines, we can raise issues across the line of parties and say, look, there is a problem in this province, and we can work together in all possible ways to keep the people of this province safe. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable, let me see. You want to comment?
Huh?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We truly appreciate your compliment, Honourable Member Shackleton. If he had noticed that there's progress, you could have rather withdrawn the question and submitted another interesting one about Boko Haram. Thank you very much.
Next question, Honourable Bloom to MEC for Health.
Speaker, yes, I thought you noticed me. So it's a comment. 134.
Comment after the MEC has responded. It's not possible.
But you
Honor-
looked at,
Honourable
me, I
Bloom.
thought you had recognized me. Angithi ngazisebenza njani?
Honorable Bloom to MEC for Health.
Namhlanje hayikhona.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the MEC for Health, regarding the committee which was headed by then CFO Ms. Kabela Lequenya in order to arrange for the urgent purchase of personal protective equipment, PPE, for COVID-19, will the MEC please indicate, 1, what are the names and staff positions of the members of this committee? 2, in the case of each person in one above, what disciplinary action has been taken? Please give separately for each person. 3, if any person in one above has not been disciplined, why is this the case? 4, what steps will be taken to ensure that disciplinary action is taken against every single member of this committee? And 5, if not, why not? Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Bloom, for the question. Maybe just to give a little bit of a background, please note that all investigations and disciplinary processes relating to PPE were handled by the Office of the Premier. However, our office was requested to hand over a charge sheet to Ms. Pino, and on the 1st of March 2021, we were requested to appoint an investigating officer from our team in relation to the case against Mrs. Ntamane, which we did and submitted the name to the Office of the Premier. A response to question 1, in terms of the committee members, it was Mr. P. Hamta, Chief Director Communications, Ms. M. Jooste, Director Supply Chain and Assets Management, Ms. K. Lequenya, the former Chief of Staff, the former Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Emily Rutla, the Chief Director District Health Services, Mr. Lale, who was the acting financial officer then, Mr. Malotana, who is the current acting HOD, Mr. Dr. M. Mudisani, the acting DDG, Ms. P. Ntamane, Director Quality Assurance, and Mr. Pizzi, Chief Director, and Ms. T. Pino, Chief Director Supply Chain. In terms of response to question 2, the only charges that we have is for Ms. Pino. Charge 1, commitment letters to Royal Butler Project Pty Ltd. Charge 2, delivery of goods by Royal Butler. Charge 3, irregular procurement of Letla Structural Development Cooperative. Charge 4, delivery by Letla. Charge 5, misrepresentation of the manner in which goods were procured from Royal Butler. Response to question 3, disciplinary process is in progress. Response to question 4, same as 3. Response to question 5, same as 3 as well. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Bloom, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I mean, I noticed that, I might have wrong, but at least 3 current people in very senior positions, acting DGG, and including the present acting head of department, Mr. Malatana, were actually on this committee, which authorized and is accountable for the PPE alleged corruption, huge figures under investigation. Yet only Ms. Pino is actually being investigated. I find it of huge concern that the current acting head of department, Mr. Malatane, was part of this committee, as well as other senior people. Does the MEC have a comment on this? You know, honestly, everybody on that committee should have a disciplinary action against them, because they're all accountable for the terrible, from what we can see, corruption in procurement. Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. As I've indicated, disciplinary processes are in progress, and as and when the members of the committee can be found to be have done something wrong. But my understanding was that this committee was established after the the issue around the PPE was then established by the Office of the Premier. Thank you very much.
Another question, Honorable Bloom to MEC for Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, to the MEC for Health. Regarding the Nasrec Field Hospital, will the MEC please indicate, one, what disciplinary action is being taken regarding the finding by the Auditor General that, quote, the department did not invite as many suppliers as possible and there was no prior approval from the relevant Treasury for the emergency procurement of the Nasrec Field Hospital as required by Treasury regulation, end of quote. Second question, who are the staff that will be disciplined in this matter? Thirdly, if not, why not? Next question, how many patients at this facility received oxygen treatment from the time of opening to the time of its closure? And 5, how much in total in rands and cents has been paid for the field hospital facility? Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Bloom, for the question. Response to question 1, the department acknowledges that the process of procurement was regular in terms of the AG's findings. That is the interim report. An investigation will be launched to determine the culpability, and upon determination, those who are identified will be processed through the departmental disciplinary processes. Response to question 2, the investigation will determine who should be disciplined. Response to question 3 is not applicable. Response to question 4, 238 patients received oxygen treatment at Nasrec. And response to question 5, the department has paid 215,839,985 rands and 4 cents for Nasrec Field Hospital from the 1st of April 2020 to the 12th of March 2020. Thank you very much, Honorable.
Honorable Bloom, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, look, I acknowledge that the investigation will find out who did this irregular procurement, and I will follow up on it. But I think, you know, this whole facility was opened for about 7 months, and all it received was 238 patients on oxygen. Any of the other patients who are in quarantine or isolation, they could be put up at a hotel, of which there are plenty open hotels. So basically, they spent 215 million on 238 patients who received oxygen. That's an extremely small number. I can do the arithmetic of it, but it appears to be something like a couple of 100,000 rand per patient. And I pointed this out last year already, that in fact this hospital was not fully utilized, and now of course it's been closed down. But I honestly think there needs to be further investigation about whether we overpaid. I think the SIU should be involved in this as well. 238 patients is absolutely minimal over a 7-month period, and you've spent 215 million on it. That was really the only need for a field hospital.
Short
oxygen
remark.
for patients.
Short
couldn't
remark,
be,
Honorable Bloom.
Thank you.
Short remark, Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think Honorable Bloom only referred to those patients who received oxygen at Nasrec. We can make available a breakdown of all the patients that were admitted both on quarantine and isolation to Honorable Bloom. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Next question, Honorable Shackleton to MEC for Community Safety.
Yeah, MEC.
Thank you,
must
Madam
not
Speaker.
be a
Through you
puppet
to the
like
Honourable
my group.
MEC for Community Safety. Regarding the increase in the number of reported sexual offences, will the MEC please indicate, 1, what has contributed to the increased reporting of sexual offences, which have increased by 40.5% from 220 cases in the 2019-20 financial year to 309 cases in the 2020-21 financial year? Are there existing or future measures in place to reverse this negative trend? Is so, please explain what these are. 3 of the total 220 cases in the 2019-20 financial year, plus the 309 cases in the 2020-21 year, how many have been finalized? Of the total 220 cases in the 2019-20 financial year, plus the 309 cases in the 2020-21 financial year, how many arrests have been made? And 5, how many of those in number 4 have resulted in convictions? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. In responding to question number 1, how I hope Member Shackleton will have expatiated on this question, because it gives an impression that a very low number of sexual offences was actually. So he must indicate that this question emanates from police action. And there are those that people go and report, and then there are those that are as a result of police action. Now, in responding to question number 1, crime intelligence was involved, crime detection officers were involved, and using informants also, Madam Speaker, contributed to the increase in reporting of sexual offences, Madam Chair. On question number 2, if there are any existing or future measures in place to reverse this negative trend, it's not negative, Madam Speaker. It shows that as the Gauteng provincial government, our efforts and our campaigns are yielding results, because now we see more and more people reporting and more police. Police now know that they'll be charged if they do not attend to a case of sexual offense. And even currently in Parliament, there are 3 bills that are being processed that are going to make it even impossible for a person to withdraw a case if you have opened a case. On question number 3, of the total of 220 cases plus 309, how many have been finalized? All these cases have actually been finalized, Madam Speaker. On question number 4, if any arrests have been made, of course arrests have been made, because it's through the work of the police and police detection, meaning action that was taken by the police to have all those perpetrators arrested. On question number 5, on the conviction rate, third quarter of 2019-2020, 46.81% of them were convicted. In the third quarter of 2020-2021, 42.53%, and others are still in the court system, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Nyabo.
Honourable Shackleton, any supplementary question or short remark?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a short remark through you to the Honourable MEC for Community Safety. I think on the one hand, it is important to note that the police have worked hard through their own conduct to arrest and catch people that are guilty of committing sexual offences. However, on paper, though, we can see that there is an increase in sexual offences, and I think as time goes on, generation after generation, year after year, we have to see a decrease in sexual offences in Gauteng province. You can imagine our children, our children's children, if we look at this country in 150 years from now, I don't think we want to see the same trend that is on paper here with sexual offences going up. And I think it's important to call on the MEC for Community Safety to ensure whilst it does contribute certainly to the figures that the police are going out and doing their work in catching these people, measures must be in place to reduce sexual offences in this province drastically. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Any comments, Honourable MEC?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When we call upon also men to assist in this fight against this scourge of gender-based violence and femicide, I hope Member Shackleton will be available and say, Yimilo, Tumamina. Because if we get many of these cases happen within family households. So that is between a man and a woman. Madam Deputy Speaker, order please. Don't nyagaza in front of me. You are nyagazing in front of me. So, if all of us, it must not be only women that are concerned in fighting or campaigning against gender-based violence. We wish to call upon men. Men must say not in their names and ensure that the cycle of gender-based violence and femicide is reduced. Then we'll see a reduction. You know, it's so sad, Madam Speaker, you wake up in the morning, you get an audio, a woman has been chopped into pieces by her husband. They are not even saying good morning, but bulisa an audio clip. And then you even get that yesterday afternoon in Vlakfontein, 2 girls were raped whilst coming from school. Now, it's men that rape. It's not women that rape. It's men that chop women into pieces. It's not women that do that. So no sooner we have a concerted effort by men, mabasukume man, madoda sukuman match. In the fight against gender-based violence and femicide, I'm 100% sure. Even those that go and open charges against certain leaders in this house, they must never defend. They must go through the court process and ensure that they are cleared.
Next question, Honorable Ghana to MEC for Economic Development.
Thanks very much, Madam Speaker. Regarding the 250 million rand partnership fund that has been set aside to assist small businesses in Gauteng, could the MEC please indicate when will the fund become operational? When will the guidelines be published to the public? Which sectors of the economy will the fund be focusing on? What has been the hold-up in operationalizing this fund? And who is the person responsible for the delay in operationalizing this fund? Thanks very much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thanks to Member Kana for the questions. With regard to question 1, it is anticipated that the fund would be operational in the second quarter of the next financial year, and currently is undergoing a process of approval by various governance structures, both within GPG and the external partners that we have identified. Similarly, the guidelines would also be published in the second quarter, as we would not publish the guidelines until the partnership has been consolidated and the fund becomes operational. With regards to which sectors, which is question 3, the fund will focus on SMMEs in the 10 priority sectors as articulated in the Growing Gauteng Together 2030 strategy and also in the economic recovery and reconstruction plan. With regard to question 4, the process of establishing the fund faced numerous statutory and regulatory compliance challenges related to PFMA and National Treasury regulations. Subsequently, the approach on the establishment of the fund had to be reviewed in order to ensure compliance with all relevant regulations as advised by the Board of GP and by Provincial Treasury. Therefore, the reasons as indicated above should dictate, therefore, that the delays were as a result of due diligence and regulatory issues, and therefore no individual has been held to account in their personal capacity for the delays in implementing the project. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ghana, any supplementary question or a short remark?
Thanks very much, Madam Speaker. So I want to check MEC, because when you say second quarter for us means starting the 1st of July. So you are saying that the fund can only be operational after the 1st of July, and that the GEP has been with these 250 million rands in their bank account. One obviously will be interested to know whether this 250 million, as far as you know, now that we know it is in the bank accounts of JEP, is it in an interest-bearing account, or is just sitting there not earning interest, Madam Speaker? I just want to check that, because if we are going to implement it from the 1st of July, then the amount cannot be less than 250 million. It should be more than that, Madam Speaker. Thanks very much.
Honorable Ramalifo.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. If I may rise 134.7. Just want to ask MEC that considering the current challenges, especially under COVID, and the design or the budget, I mean the money which was set aside to assist small businesses, don't you think it's a late response, especially looking at the implementations after July? Because if you know by now, we've been quoting number of statistics of people who are losing their jobs, which as a result of businesses going under. Don't you think that is probably something which needs to be done urgently, so that those businesses don't need to go down and then we resuscitate them when they've already gone down?
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. With regards to the target of the second quarter, I think it's important to indicate and re-emphasize a point that I raised earlier, that the details of the fund are currently undergoing approval processes by various governance structures. I can confirm internally that it has already gone through the GEP board and would be presented to the Executive Council towards the end of the month. Similarly, there are processes undertaken by our potential partners to get through their own approval processes in terms of the structure. As soon as that is done, we anticipate that we should be able to launch and start with the process of dispersing the resources as identified. So we cannot, for example, make commitments on the basis of a process that includes external parties that have to go through their own governance processes for approvals, and therefore the anticipated date is taking into account their processes that they would undertake. As with regards to the account, it would be strange if it is not interest-bearing. I'm still to hear of an account where you deposit money and it doesn't pay interest. Of course, that is governed by Treasury regulations, but I can't imagine that money would sit in a bank without bearing interest. I suspect so, Honorable Mutar. Under the mattress, it certainly doesn't bear interest. Is it too late, Honorable Ramuli? For certainly it can't be too late. The economic challenges that confront us as a province and indeed as a country requires our collective attention, and all efforts must be made to ensure that we find solutions to these problems. You can never say it's too late. You can say that in fact the delays have had impact on the extent to which we could have made progress earlier than we have made, but we can't say it would be too late, because I can't imagine that by the end of this year there would be SMMEs that don't need money and or disbursements to capitalize their own businesses. Thank you very much.
Next question, Honorable Khatebe, on behalf of Honorable Nisi to MEC for Education.
With regards to the provision of laptops and tablets to learners at at the high school around the province. Will the MEC please respond to the following? How many high schools have not received these learning tools for the past 4 years? In your response, please provide a list of those schools and the reasons for failure to deliver the required learning tools to these schools. Number 2, how many of these schools are in the rural areas of the province? In your response, please provide the list of schools affected per region. Has the department contacted and explained to all stakeholders, teachers, parents, learners, why these learning tools could not be provided to the schools? Number 4, how does failure by the department to provide tablets, laptops to learners affect learning and teaching, especially when it comes to the desired result at the end of the year? And when last did the department pay the visits to Ituten Secondary School in the West Rand to assess their learning condition without tablets, laptop? In your response, please indicate with certainty when this tool will be delivered to all high schools in the province, including schools in rural areas. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable MEC.
Thanks so much, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thanks, Member Khatebe, for the questions. In terms of question 1, the schools of the future, of what we call a paperless platform, focuses on pre-selected township schools. Pre-selected township schools, not all of them, across the 15 districts that we have in Gauteng. These schools are then categorized as per below summary, which inter alia determines the level of participation in the Schools of the Future program in relation to available resources, structure of the school, and grade prioritization aligned to the broader GDE ICT strategy. The current ICT scope can be summarized as follows. There are 7 types of schools that we provide with ICT equipment. The first one is full ICT primary schools in grade 7. The second one is full ICT secondary schools from grade 8 to grade 12. The third one is schools of specialization for grade 12. The fourth one is no fee-paying schools for grade 10 to 12. The fifth one is fee-paying schools, grade 12, grade 10 to 12. The sixth one is mobile or ACT schools. And the last one is farm schools, which were added in 2020-2021. In this program, Madam Speaker, our attitude and commitment is the same. 1 learner, 1 tablet, 1 teacher, 1 laptop, 1 classroom, 1 smart board, 1 school, free Wi-Fi. That's the investment that we've put in these schools. Then your question asked us to indicate the number of schools, names of schools, the area in which these schools are located, and the number of tablets that we've distributed to those schools. I've got the table, Madam Speaker, of the question that she has asked, and I suspect I'm going to take the entire day if I have to go through this table, and I'm going to confuse members as well if I have to allude to these numbers. But these numbers are available. I'm going to give to Member Khatebe to pass over to Member Mnis. In terms of outstanding schools, there are 105 schools that are not yet attended due to various reasons, including the following: outstanding infrastructure upgrades, because we don't want to put smart board in a mobile classroom, Julie Stolen. Also outstanding teacher classroom profiling, because there are some classes are used by teachers that are not used by learners. So we can't put smart board in those classrooms. But also due to limitation of resources and budget cuts. In terms of question 2, question 1, I've answered that question 2. In terms of question 3, the department holds continuous meetings with district and ICT or e-learning coordinators to liaise with schools in the advancement of the paperless classroom. Member Khatebe, I must indicate that the reason why majority of township schools did well in our last exams, matric exams, it was the intervention in terms of the ICT. You will recall that in this province, before COVID, we had a vision of giving our schools devices. So when we were hit by COVID, we could in a position to convert easily into online learning. I think we are one of the few provinces in the country that have online learning straight into townships and also into rural areas in our province. And this is purely because of the investment that we've made in this regard. So all full ICT schools are prioritized in terms of ICT implementation, whereas no-fee and fee-paying schools continue to use their LTSM budget to procure textbooks, stationery for their learners and grades that are not in scope. The availability and utilization of ICT in schools has proven to assist in the improvement of academic performance of learners. Itutin Secondary School, for example, the school that we have alluded to, performed at 76.4% in 2018, 68% in 2019. However, in 2020 academic year, they got 90.4%, a whooping improvement of 22.4%, purely because they were using ICT in their classroom. So there's a clear demonstration that where we plant ICT gadgets in our schools, there is improvement. It's not a silver bullet, but at least it contributes to better performance in the classroom. In terms of visits to schools, the department always visits schools to check basic functionality, leadership, management and communication, governance and relationship, quality of teaching, curriculum provisioning and resourcing, learner achievement, school safety, school infrastructure, parents' participation and community involvement. And in terms of your question to say how many times have visited Ituting, our officials have visited Ituting on the following dates: the 7th of September to verify and validate profile processes, the 30th of September to make a follow-up on GDE content, the 9th of October, GDE content mediation and video conferencing, the 15th of October, quality assurance of multimedia, 20 October, GDE content and face-to-face mediation to assist the schools. So whoever gave information that you don't visit this school is wrong. We've got the dates of when we visited and what we did in those schools. So your source, you must abandon that source. It's not reliable at this present moment. And I think that source needs to be changed immediately. The table below indicates progress in the implementation of full ICT at Ituting Secondary School. Its classroom and teacher devices for grades 10 to 12, learner devices for grade 12. The number of classrooms in which smart boards were installed is 9. The number of interactive boards in which they were installed in these schools are 8. The number of mass classroom solution installed is not applicable in this school. The number of teachers that have received their tablets and laptops is 29. The number of learner devices, 167. And the overall ICT maturity in these schools stand at 57%. That's what we have given support to this particular school. You asked that I must make this information. I just picked up this school alone because you asked, but you said I must give on the basis of other schools. So it's just a long list that I can make it available to you. Thank you so much for your question. Truly appreciate it.
Honorable Khatebe, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark? No supplementary, no short remark. Thank you. In terms of Rule 137, subsection 5, which reads as follows: if a question for written reply is not replied to within a stipulated time frame and no extension is requested by a member of the Executive Council during the next question day, the relevant MEC for the relevant member of the Executive Council must provide an oral explanation in the House for his or failure to reply to the questions and still hand over the written reply to the table. MECs are kindly requested not to reply to the question, but to provide an oral explanation for his or failure to reply to the question and forward the reply to the question to the table. MEC Hlophe, kindly explain to the House why question number SP006, SP010, SP011, SP012, and SP013 was not responded to.
Thank you, Speaker. And I must apologize to the House on behalf of the department to indicate that there were delays in submission of the responses.
Honorable Mokwebo, we want an explanation.
Hey. We must apologize, Speaker, on behalf of the department that there were delays in getting the responses. We are applying consequence management to ensure that people understand the gravity of this matter so that it never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. We have also, honorable members, we have received an urgent question for oral reply in terms of Rule 135, subsection 1 from Honorable Alberts, but I wish to indicate that when we read through the question, it doesn't look like it's an urgent question. Therefore, we'll advise that the question be submitted for oral reply at a later date. Therefore, we're not going to allow an urgent question. Thank you very much. That concludes the business for the day. Our next sitting will be on Tuesday, the 23rd of March 2021 at 10 hours sharp. The House is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Maria Bayas.